Hi everyone, my name is Crockett Sewell and I'm one of the International Admissions Counselors here at Purdue. Thank you for watching our presentation and I hope it gave you a lot of great information about the next steps you might have for getting to Purdue. Here with me today I have three international student ambassadors and they're going to take some time now to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kareem. I'm from Beirut, Lebanon, and I'm a sophomore in industrial engineering at Purdue University.
Hey, hi, I'm Christina. I'm a junior in dietetics and I'm from New Zealand.
Hi, I'm Sun. I'm a sophomore majoring in pre-pharmacy, and I'm from South Korea.
So thank all of you guys again for joining us today, and for the next about hour, we're going to take questions that you guys have given to us, and hopefully we answer any last minute things you need to know before making your decision to come to Purdue. So the first question we have from one of the students viewing is whether it is possible or not to shift admission and change your admission from the fall of 2019 to the spring of 2020. If you have accepted your deposit, it is going to be a little bit of a different process, but yes, you can update your application. If you have not accepted your offer to Purdue and you decide to change your academic term to the spring of 2020, then your application will be considered once again, so your admission is not guaranteed. So a couple different ways you could go about that. If you have more detailed questions, you can email us and ask about your specific case. Another question we also wanted to talk about is whether international students are able to get scholarships or not. And for our office, international student admissions, we are not able to give scholarships to international students and we're not able to give financial aid. There may be some supplemental scholarships that specific majors and specific departments are able to give, but that's very specifically on a case-by-case basis.
So I want to emphasize on what Crockett said, so about the scholarships. So every spring semester, once you get more detailed into your major, they send you a bunch of emails on scholarships, and it could be for leadership, not necessarily for academics. You apply for them, and they basically get back to you. Yep.
So one of the questions we often get about coming to Purdue is specifically dealing with housing, where you're going to be living, and especially what's going to happen with getting a roommate. Do any of you guys want to talk about your time in living in a residence hall and how you got a roommate?
I did random roommate and it worked out pretty well for me my first year. So what we did was I lived on a floor where it was primarily all nursing students and a couple dietetic students, and it was really nice because everyone could, since it's your first year, you're taking a lot of the same core classes together. So everyone worked on their homework together, and a lot of us had the same classes. So we were able to go to class together and work on stuff together. So it was quite nice.
Nice.
Yeah, and the great thing is that if you already know somebody that is coming to Purdue and you guys want to live together, when you fill out your housing application, you can both request to live with each other and you also have to request the type of housing. So as long as that matches up, you're not guaranteed to live together, but they will try to match you up as best as possible. Another question that we have from one of the students today is what is the deadline for paying for college fees and how many installments can be possible in making those payments? The main deadline for paying those fees is the first day of classes in the fall, but the bursar's office and campus will work with different students and maybe make an installment plan or a payment plan. So if you want more information specifically about that, again, please email us and also go on the website because you can pretty quickly find that information and they'll give you more detailed information about how you can pay, when you can pay, and something maybe more specific to your needs of how the payment process will happen. So another really popular question that we get is the earliest date that you can come to Purdue. Once you accept your offer, classes are going to be starting on August 17th in the fall, and right before that, we have an orientation program called BGRi and BGR, which is Boiler Gold Rush International and Boiler Gold Rush. If you decide to take part in those programs, you will get to move into campus in your university residence hall on August 9th. If you don't decide to participate in that program, you have to wait until the weekend right before classes start to move onto campus. You can come into the US earlier than that, but you cannot come into the US because of the visa status you're most likely on. more than a month before classes start, so that August 17th time period. But again, it's a very case-by-case basis depending on your visa status and when you personally want to come into the U.S. Do you guys have anything to say about BGRi or BGR?
I did both, and I really liked it. A lot of people, I don't know, I went to all of the activities, and I felt like it was a really nice way to kind of integrate yourself into the environment because, like, coming all the way from New Zealand, I had no idea what to expect, and I knew no one. So it was a really good way to just meet people and like make new friends and everything. And I made one of my best friends during BGRi on the first day, and like we're still really good friends now. So I feel like that says something about the whole experience.
So I personally did BGRi. I was actually honestly amazed because the environment was very welcoming and they trained the people in BGR so well. And they're actually the people who you will meet, they're actually students. They could be a sophomore, junior, senior. So it's really nice because they're your age and they guide you. They give you tips on like the smallest things. And you'll practically be in groups of 6 or 8. So you get this interaction. And it's just a really fun environment and to get to know concept on a like really special way.
Did you do BGR?
I didn't do BGR, but I heard that my friends had a really great experience, like making new friends there and just getting to know more about Purdue. So I think it's really nice.
When did you move to campus if you didn't do BGR?
During the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So another question we have is from a U.S. student living abroad. So there, I'm sure some of you guys are watching this. It is a little bit different for you regarding scholarship eligibility. U.S. citizens are eligible for scholarships. Your admissions process was done by a separate office, so they would be the people to ask more specifically regarding scholarships, and so that is the admissions office at Purdue. Our office specifically is international admissions at Purdue, so we're a little bit separate. But you might have already heard about a scholarship if you had received one from them, and if not, I would reach out to them to find out more about that. And another question we do often get as well is, do I have to send my final high school transcript by mail? And no, you do not. You can bring it with you to campus if you would like to, as long as it's in a sealed envelope from your high school. You can just stop by our office and bring it, or you can have your high school mail it to us, but you don't have to only send it by mail if that might be a little bit more costly. Another question we also usually get about international students coming to campus is regarding internships and maybe different jobs on campus. So if you guys want to talk about internships a little bit.
So basically, there are so many career fairs at Purdue that happen. The major one is during the fall semester. It's called Industrial Roundtable, and we label it here as IR. So if I use IR, don't be confused. So basically, like over 100 companies come on campus. They set their booth, and they're here to recruit you guys. So during those career fairs, there's actually a Career Fair Plus app where you can filter the companies that are there, and you can filter international and internship specifically, so you would get several options. And yes, you can apply, of course. And another career fair that happens in the spring is called Expo, I believe. It happens during the February, and actually today, like literally today, there is one called Just in Time for like last minute internships in the summer, and it's open to all Purdue students.
And also, there's specific internships available in your major. I just remembered I actually did an internship last summer over at the dining courts, and it's classified as an internship. So what I did was just learn more about food safety and all that. But there's also other options too. So so the study abroad office is amazing, and you'll find so many opportunities and everything there. And there's a couple study abroad internships over the summer, I think, and I think there's also some over the semesters, but we'll have to look into that. But so you can go to, I think, London and Sydney. Those are the two locations that are offered over the summer. And what they do is they pair you up with a company overseas, and then the company will search for an internship that's directly personalized to fit you and your major. And this has been going on for, I think, like 25 years. So they're like really reliable and they know what they're doing.
And oftentimes students will also ask about the work opportunities once you get to campus, whether you want an on-campus job, or if you're thinking about working off-campus, with the majority of you, the visa requirements that you'll be able to work up to 20 hours on campus. So as long as it's a job paid by Purdue University, you are able to apply for it and work in it. Have you guys had any of those little
Yeah.
jobs?
Yep.
What are some of those jobs?
Do you want
So I've worked at Rallyline where you call your Purdue alumni and you basically ask for donation and just tell them about what's going on at Purdue. And I've had a great experience because it also improves your English and it was just a great work experience.
I also, my first summer here, I did something called, I worked as a camp counselor at Camp Dash, which is nutrition specified. But it was like a really good opportunity to just meet a whole bunch of people and to kind of just develop, I guess, like leadership skills and such. And it's really good to just put on your resume because it looks good. And it was also kind of like a research camp kind of. So that was really interesting just to see like what was going on and everything. And yeah, and also last summer I did the dining court internship, and then I worked at the dining courts for a bit last semester too. And honestly, it was a really good experience. I did learn a lot, and I really loved working with like everyone there, and it was just a really good time.
So I currently work, I have actually two jobs, and I'm stating that two because just to give you different options. So I currently have a fixed job in the office of the registrar, but there are also like many of you might be worried, oh, but I'm studying in my classes. So you can find a job that fits within your schedule and you can choose your hours. So that's the case for me. And I also have another job, which is also kind of a host in Elliott. Elliott, by the way, is kind of our theater here on campus. So whenever there is like a person coming or there is a huge event or play, they need host people. So I can do that, and it's really nice because I can do it whenever I want. I sign up for it, so it's not mandatory. So let's say I have free time, I don't know what to do, I sign up, and that's how I work and make money. Yep.
A lot of great opportunities. One of our students watching is asking about engineering students and their housing assignments, whether they're in their own housing or are they split up with people from different majors. Honestly, you could be with people from all across campus, but there are also learning communities where you may primarily be with engineering students, but students in specific majors are not always going to be separated based on their major, and you're an engineering student, so.
So it depends. It's really a case by case, and I think more random than to say they plan it. But sometimes it happens. Like I heard friends, like they would, for example, let's say they have an assignment, and they like want to work on people. They literally just have to step out of their door. Assignment X, blah blah blah. So they would all come and help each other. And other times, no, it's absolutely not the case. But I think they're more grouped by gender and like yeah.
But yeah, if you're interested in something like a learning community where you are living with people that are looking at similar academic disciplines, definitely look into that more. That may be what you want to go into. And if you think you want to apply for a learning community, you have to do that, or the priority deadline for that is May 5th. And that's the same deadline for the housing application. So students and any of you wanting to live on campus will fill out the housing application first, and then as soon as possible, you should fill out the learning community application on top of that. Another question we have from a student is regarding sports at Purdue and specifically men's volleyball and whether that might be an option if you want to play volleyball on campus. I don't believe we have a NCAA Division I men's volleyball team, but we may. Do we have one?
So to be very honest, I'm not super familiar with the volleyball team specifically, but I can answer the question about, yes, there are intramurals, and the gym at Purdue, which is also called the Franz Cordova Center, also labeled as COREC, is literally the best gym
Yeah.
like ever. There are so many activities you can sign up for, like many intramurals, many teams. I'm sure that we have a volleyball team, that's for sure, but I don't know if they're ranked or like.
I know we have a women's volleyball team, and I think with intramurals, I mean, you can really
Yeah, there are so many.
do as many as
Mhm.
possible. So you should have the opportunities to do that, and with intramurals is going to be competitive, and kind of based on your level, because a lot of the intramural teams will have different levels based on how long you've been playing and where you're at. So there should be the flexibility for you to get that experience if you want it.
And for more information, I would visit the COREC has a website, so I think all the information should be there.
Another question we have gotten is if you are in the U.S. as a legal immigrant, will you still have to complete the application for a student visa. If you're in the US as a permanent resident, you would be considered as a domestic student by the university, so you should not have to. But if you do not, if you already are on a visa, or maybe your parents are working in the US and you're on a dependent visa, you will still have to kind of go through the visa process. But if you're in the US as a US permanent resident, you don't have to go through that process. If you're a US citizen or permanent resident, that is separate from what we consider international students. Another really important question that we get is which type of housing is preferred on or off campus, and I'll definitely let these guys talk about that.
Okay, so first year, I definitely 100% recommend do school housing because you just meet literally everyone. I don't know. Wait, okay, hang on. Okay, so you meet a lot of people when you're living in the dorms, and then it's just a really good way to kind of just I don't know, get to know the school surroundings and everything. And then once you've settled in a bit, you can move off campus, which is where I am at now. And yeah, I really like living off campus too.
And I can add, I can maybe prove to your point more. So I never lived in the dorms. And honestly, I don't want to say that I miss out, but I feel like, yes, I'm a bit disadvantaged living off campus the first year. And the reason why I didn't live on campus because I missed the dorm deadline. So don't forget, as soon as you sign your admission offer, do not miss the deadline for the dorms and the on-campus housing. So I think, yes, I definitely agree with Christina that you meet a lot of people. It's just the environment is different, and then I think you have time to move like off campus. So it's not required, but highly, highly recommended. And if
And also, if you live on campus, you get to eat at dining courts, and
Yes.
Purdue dining courts have such a great food, like diverse food. Like we have Asian food, American food. It's just really great.
You honestly take it for advantage of anything because now living off campus, I am so lazy with cooking. I can't be bothered cooking at all, but it's just so nice to walk into like a hall, like, and you're surrounded by food, like ready to go. So yeah.
Yep, many friends of mine who used to live in the dorms and now live off campus, they really like the one thing they miss is the food and just
Yeah.
like having everything convenient. And there are so many veggie options, healthy options. Like if you don't eat the burger, there are like a salad bar, not like only fixed salads,
Yeah.
and literally all types of food. And they try actually, what's really nice about Purdue dining, they try to make, like let's say they know if you're from a country X and that's a popular dish, they try to make it. It might not be the same,
Yeah.
but at least you would like it's a reminiscence of home, which is really nice.
Yeah. And then Windsor does like the best cooking, like the best baking. Because I know, because I worked with the baker at Windsor for a bit, and everything just smells so good. As soon as you walk into Windsor, you can just smell the cookies and everything, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, so the good thing is we do have 5 different dining courts on campus. And in addition to that, we have a ton of, little coffee shops and sandwich shops around campus that you can also use. So if you are deciding to live off campus, you're not going to be able to buy a dining plan where you can get weekly meals in the dining hall. You can pay for them individually if you want, but if you're living off campus, you can get this Boiler Express card where you can put kind of money into that, preload it into that, and then use that around campus instead of having to take out cash every time or use a credit card every time. So you do have flexibility, even if maybe you aren't deciding to live on campus. But like all of them said, students living on campus have a lot more opportunity to get involved, especially if they're living on their first year. Again, students will find opportunities to do things even if they're not. But it just kind of helps with that transition, especially in your first year. Living in the U.S., as many of you, this will be your first time. Going back to a question about learning communities, can students who live in a learning community also live in a single room? I am not 100% sure on that, but I think it would be highly unlikely because learning communities, they're trying to get as many students into those as possible, so you will mostly have a roommate, almost like always have a roommate. If you're interested in living in a single room, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive and there aren't going to be as many options since you are first year students. When you get older, that may be more possible. the longer you're at Purdue, but during your first year, it's not going to be as likely. And for any honors college students out there, there is a separate honors residence hall that honors students will live in, and they do have some space in another residence hall that's not the only honors specific residence hall, so you will be living with other honors students. Are any of you guys honors students? Yeah, so if you guys wanted to speak to an honors student or reach out to them, please email us and we can get you in contact with somebody. The next question is regarding final high school transcripts, and this student says, I opened my final high school transcript to be able to scan it and send it to the admissions office. Do I have to get another copy and bring it to the US, or can I use the opened original I have? I believe we will need an official copy that has not been opened by you, just so we know that nothing has been done to it. It needs to be in a sealed envelope when you bring it to us. So if you have already opened it, I would just encourage you to get another original copy and not open it, and then you can bring it to us because we can't take a scanned copy of the official transcripts. See, some other really popular questions that we get is about arriving to campus and how students can get to campus. So you guys want to talk about that a little bit and how close we are to Chicago and Indy?
So, okay, I'm gonna start. So, honestly, one of the things that I loved coming to Purdue is really visiting really nice cities, especially like Chicago and Indianapolis. So, Chicago is, I would say, 2 hours away, 2 hours and a bit. And Indy is like an hour and 15 minutes, maybe. So, as cities, they're really nice because whenever like you want to take a breath, you can go for the weekend. I've done it, all my friends have done it, and I'm sure like you guys sometimes do it. So it's really nice because in Chicago, like it's a very populated city, and you go, there are so many nice things to see, and we have so many breaks during the year, especially during the fall semester, like October break or like what was the September 4 or 5 called? The Labor Day. Yep, I got it. And Labor Day, and even Thanksgiving. So you have so many breaks to go in, especially in the fall semester. And Indianapolis also is close. Now, in terms of airports, it depends like on your flights, I would say, and whatever is cheapest for you. It doesn't really matter. So there are many shuttle companies that offer a service to West Lafayette, and it's very convenient and very cheap and super safe. So I would highly recommend do not Uber or Lyft or pay ridiculous amounts of money for nothing. So yeah, it's really nice to have it convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really convenient. I don't think I can add anything more.
Great, thanks. So one of the other questions we have is regarding scholarships, and the student is asking about international scholarships and if it is hard for one to pay. Purdue, we're quite lucky that compared to a lot of other universities in our same range, we're actually one of the lowest in terms of tuition compared to our, universities that have the same types of programs that we do. So, we've been very lucky that the university has actually frozen our tuition for the last 8 years, and that's guaranteed for the next 2 academic years. So while it may look higher than what a lot of you guys are used to in your home countries, comparatively to other US universities, it's quite lower, and you're really, those fees go into an investment in one of the best educations you can get. And, probably the field that you're looking at, because Purdue is so well known in a lot of our different academic areas. So you do really have to think about that. But we have international students that, fund it in different ways. A lot of students will possibly get private scholarships or loans from their home governments. So there are different ways to pay. Not all students are paying that full tuition price. But I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that. Yeah. So if you're, looking at other universities, Purdue is probably going to be one of the lower ones. But if it's an issue, I would say look at other funding opportunities, especially with private scholarships, to help you with that funding.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's the tuition is. I mean, having friends in other states, I know that their tuition is higher. And what's also nice is the standard of living is lower here. So you're not paying ridiculous prices for food. So it's really very affordable, and you're getting the quality too.
So our next question is about the Entrepreneurship Learning Certificate. We do have a Center for Entrepreneurship on campus, And this question is whether you can pursue this along with the engineering major specifically or any major at Purdue.
So I'm going to answer this one because I'm actually doing it and I'm in an engineering major. So basically, it's a combination of 5 courses you have to take, and you basically fit them into your schedule based on your tech electives. So they would basically replace kind of your tech electives here and satisfy the tech elective requirement. Many people do it, like literally many, and very doable. And some people even do another minor with it, like with their major. It all depends on your discipline again, but very easy to be done and very practical. And your advisors would definitely help you find the right timing to do like every single course.
Again, that's just another great way to add a little something extra to your education. That's the great thing about a U.S. education, because you're not only here to do one specific thing. In a lot of different countries in their higher education system, when you start at that university, you're only taking classes in that subject, but that's not the case at U.S. universities because you have a lot of flexibility and you can do a minor in something completely different than your major, or you can add a certificate.
I want to add also, let's say your plan of study does not allow you to do the certificate of entrepreneurship. There are so many clubs on campus that you can join to like fulfill this entrepreneurship like self-satisfaction. There are so many leadership clubs. There's even now a new entrepreneurship fraternity. So it's really nice. If you cannot do the certificate, there are other options to get the same feel. And so many events and workshops happen, and you know about them. You can sign up for them and get the same experience.
So our next question is regarding changing majors. And we do get this question quite a bit. Some of you may have been admitted to your first choice major. Some of you may have been admitted to your second choice. While there is a process that you could do right now before you are coming to Purdue, we have very little flexibility with being able to change majors at the moment, just because we do have a very full class and we're excited about the number of students that will be coming to Purdue this fall. So if you're interested in changing majors from something that you're admitted to, your best route is going to be working with your academic advisor once you're at Purdue to look at the requirements to change your degree objective for the major that you want to change to, and work to meet those requirements in your first and second year. And then you can work to change. It's not guaranteed. A lot of it is going to depend on the space of the major you're looking at, but students every year will change between majors. Another question we have is there a set limit to how many internships and co-ops for international students?
So I don't want to get too technical, but I think we are allowed as an international student speaking with almost 2 years, I would say, to work in the US, I think including your like during when you're studying and after. So that's why basically you cannot work, let's say, at McDonald's or whatever, because that would count as your work on your visa status. So whatever you work at Purdue University doesn't count to your CPT, OPT, if I don't know if those words sound familiar. So yes, you can work, I think, up to 2 years, and usually the company you apply for might sponsor you, and that would make things much easier.
Yeah, so when you're looking at doing internships and co-ops, you are going to have to work with our international students office on campus, because it does really depend on your visa, and there's a lot of technical things that you have to go through to make sure that you're in legal status with the United States. So it's definitely possible for you to do multiple, but it will be up to you to work with your international advisor to make sure that you're doing everything correctly, especially in the case that you want to stay in the US after you graduate and do a job through OPT, like Kareem mentioned. But again, it's a case-by-case basis. You may not have heard all these terms before, but you'll definitely start hearing them once you get to Purdue. Another question that we often get is students asking what current students' favorite parts about Purdue is and what they like to do on campus. So I'll let each of you guys kind of take some time to talk about maybe what your favorite thing about Purdue is.
As he mentioned, we have Corec. It's a gym at Purdue, and I think it's really, really nice. It's one of the best gyms, probably. And I really like to work out with my friends there and just have fun, play badminton there. Lots of opportunities for fun in Corec.
There's a lot of things to do beyond the school campus itself, and even just like in Chauncey, which is literally like 1 minute, less than a minute step outside of the school campus. and you have so much food to go eat. And there's a lot of new restaurants and like little dessert stores that are like opening around campus and like really close to campus at least. So usually me and my friends usually just go out to eat, and if not, like a walk around. I think Wabash area. There's like a really nice little pond and like a little bridge. You can cross the bridge, go over to like the other side of Lafayette, and then and there's also farmer markets too over in summer and spring. Yeah, fall. Yeah, those are really nice. I really like going to those.
So my personal favorite part about Purdue, it's not actually me. I won't start by the thing what I like most. It's just the balance between like a great like program you're in, academics, but at the same time, this like academic load does not prevent you from doing other stuff. It's not like oh you're doing day and night is like memorizing books or whatever. It's more like you're going out, as you said, you're working out, and really we have one of the best gyms. It's so inspiring and really nice to work out there. I also like the campus. It's very green, I would say, most time of the year, except for winter. But it's really nice because you can always like you don't feel as if you're like in a box, so you can always breathe, like get the energy out. And it's really nice over the summer. Many people put their hammocks out, they
Yeah.
play, they read, they tan. So many options. And as she mentioned in Chauncey, which is not the downtown part of campus, like it's hard to call it. It's just like a street or an avenue on campus. There are so many restaurants there, many bars. Basically, if you're over 21, you can go there, but even without the bars, it's so much fun. And like your clubs, and there are many clubs that organize activities that you can do on weekends. So that's also very fun. So I've never like complained of being bored
No,
or like
there's
I have
yeah.
nothing to do. Yeah, never. I've never said that. And I think as international students, when you have free time, also I think your parents or your friends back home will entertain you. So there's always yeah.
And there's also like if you look into it, there's things like kayaking and like there's also a wolf park that I think is like 30 minutes away from campus. I haven't been, but I know I've heard it's like pretty fun. There's also a zoo, I guess, kind of. It's free, and there's also like when you go in spring, they have like baby goats and everything, and it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, and Chicago and Indianapolis
Yeah.
are always like a jump away, I would say.
Mhm.
You can go with the friends and yep, you have fun for a day or two and then you come back.
Could you guys, going off of that a little bit, speak about any other organizations you may be involved in or things that you have other friends involved in on campus?
Okay, so I'm part of the Human and Health Science Mentorship Program. So what we basically do is I'm a mentor and I take two mentees, and I work with a bunch of other people that's under the same college as me. So that's one thing that I do. And well, I can't think of any on the top of my head.
Mhm.
There's,
Go.
you go.
Okay, so well, the club that I'm in is called Purdue Korean Association, and by the way, Purdue has many clubs opportunities that you could join, and so okay, Purdue Korean Association. So what we do is we do things to just tell people about like more about Korea, what it's like, and then we also have like events, fun events that we have.
So going off what he said, there are literally so many clubs on campus. And if you're worrying about your region, there are always club meetings like or clubs just for where you come from. It could be per country or per region. So if you're worried about finding someone who speaks the same language as you do, you will always find. And so I'm part of a club called Purdue Solutions or Solutions. What we basically do is we basically work with an outside company, outside from Purdue, and we consult them. We provide like a training or we see what problems do they have, and that's really related to my major, industrial engineering. So you get a hands-on like from your academics, but in real life. So that's super cool. And yeah,
There's also like more light-hearted clubs. So I know my first year here, I signed up for like a bunch. There's like Pet a Puppy. So what they do is pretty cool. They get puppies on campus during like exam week or like really stressful, intense weeks, and then basically just you see a whole bunch of students on the lawn playing with puppies. And there's also Natalie's Second Chance. So it's a bit further from campus, but only by like 10-minute drive. And what you can do is you can offer to walk dogs, which is also quite nice too. I think Purdue PETA Club, they work with the shelter, and yeah.
Yeah, so as I think Kelsey mentioned in the presentation, there are over 1,000 different clubs. So you definitely will find something that you want to get involved in, and you definitely should try to get involved. As Kareem was talking about, you may feel that you only have time for your academics, but that's not what you want when you come to the U.S., and that's not what we want you to have. The great thing about a U.S. education is that you get to do a lot of different things, not just your academics. Another question that a student has is more specific to maybe what day-to-day life is like for international students on campus. So I don't know if you guys maybe just wanted to talk about a typical Monday or Tuesday or something, what might going to classes look like in that.
So, so a typical day for me would be waking up, definitely. For my classes, I personally do not miss any class. And what's really nice at Purdue that you can like do your schedule the way you want. And there are so many different sections for each class. Like rarely you would find like, oh, I have only this section to sign up. So it's not like I have to wake up at 7:30 every single day. So I personally do have a 7:30, but it's per my choice. So I wake up, I go to classes. There are 10-minute breaks between each class. Sometimes a class would end early, would have more time. And actually, it's really nice because sometimes while walking from class to class, like for example, free Chick-fil-A would come, or like today we had like Mary Lou donuts or something.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was really nice. Whenever like your mood is down, like those donuts would lift you up. Um, so then I go from class to class, and it depends if I have a break between one class and the other, depending on my schedule. Then I'd go home, have lunch. I'd either cook or like grab something on the go, depending on my time. And then usually at night I work out or see some friends for a while, and then I would do my homework, and then sleep the next day. And sometimes I would have club meetings or like some different events. Like for example, now that's like part of another club. So that's really cool, and to share this experience with you. And yeah, I would say that's most about my day.
Yeah, about the same. So wake up, go to class, hang out with friends, eat lunch. There's like little things that happen that makes your day like day-to-day life like different. I guess like today after this, there's a talk done by Steve Wozniak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going
going
to
to
that.
that one. Are you?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to that, and there's just like little things that go on, and also class-wise, like talking about classes made me remember, like there's so many different types of classes, not just like I don't know, academic focus oriented. There's like classes that do bowling. There's like theater. There's like I think there's like some sort of theater makeup class too. There's also like flower arrangement, and it's just crazy how many there's wine tasting too once you're over 21. So like Purdue honestly just offers you so much in terms of like academic and like just opportunities.
And as Karen mentioned, what I like about college is that you get to pick classes, like the time, so we don't have to really wake up early like high school. That's one thing I like. And then, so I go to classes, and then I would just hang out with friends, go to gym, and there are like other activities I could do at Purdue.
Great. Yeah, so again, it's going to be really different for every student and maybe different depending on the time of the year. If it's a little bit colder, you might not spend as much time outside,
Yeah.
but like right now it's getting warmer around campus and you can walk outside and see 100 students in hammocks in one little area. So it's really nice and you just have all the options you can imagine. Another question we often get, and especially with some students here right now, is what made you guys choose to attend Purdue?
Oh,
Let's start.
Okay, so for me, I knew New Zealand's quite a small country, so I knew that I wanted to move out of New Zealand, I guess, sometime in my life. And so, what better time than college? So, so here I am, and I googled top dietetic schools in the States, and Purdue came up as one of the top options. So yeah, here I am.
yeah, I would say same for me for engineering. So I'm very honored to be part of a number 3 like industrial engineering program in the U.S. Maybe Purdue might be top 8 maybe in general in engineering or whatever, but make sure to look at the major ranking. That makes a difference. So that to me was a main driver to come here, and also the opportunities, the like meeting people from all over the world and being able, because this is the environment we'll be living maybe in the future. So being able to be exposed and work, understand this clash of cultures at a young age is so important. And I think also not the independence, but sometimes when you're on your own, you learn stuff more than when you're like with dad and mom. So I think that was to me a main driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I chose to attend Purdue. Well, I'm a pre-pharmacy major, and Purdue has one of the best pharmacy program in the nation, which which is really great. And also, I lived in Indiana, and I've just heard great things about Purdue from my friends and teachers, and that's why I chose to attend Purdue.
So another question we hear and a lot about students and maybe coming to Purdue when they move in alone, and you may not be coming with your parents, and it may be your first time in the U.S. So with programs like BGRi and BGR, that is really that transition program with the people that are there to help you get acquainted with campus, get settled into your residence hall, get ready for academic life. It's a really intensive kind of week and a half of different sessions and programs that gives you pretty much all the information you could imagine having to feel prepared for it, even if you may not be coming with your parents and it is your first time. And so that's why we really encourage people to come through that program. So if you are coming alone, for sure, if you're able to participate in BGRi and BGR. And then from there on, our International Students and Scholars Office and International Admissions, all of us are here to help you guys with that transition and be those people that help you once you're at Purdue and on campus, really no matter what you need. In addition to students like our international ambassadors that we have here and the rest of our program are going to be here once you guys get to campus to talk to and kind of be a familiar face. So you see these guys now, and when you get to campus in the fall, you'll probably get to see them again. So we really want to help and try to create that environment where you do feel comfortable and you don't feel like you're coming alone, even if you may not be coming with anybody else once you get to campus. But do you guys have anything to say about that? Do all your parents come with you?
Mine did, but as soon as my dad dropped me off, I was like, okay, bye. It's so full on, like the first week, like you said. Yeah, BGR, I really keep my I think it really depends on your TR, but my TR was a morning person, so she had everyone up at like 7 a.m. and it was all the way until like nighttime, and then by nighttime you were so tired that you just passed out, so you literally had no time to be homesick whatsoever. So yeah, it was really easy to just kind of integrate yourself into the campus life.
So my parents came with me too. There are many workshops, by the way, for the parents. So you watch sessions more than we do probably. And it's really nice for you also to know, because you would spare us, I would say, some time to explain to you everything in detail and whatever, and it would make you feel reassured. However, even if my parents didn't come with me, I don't think I would feel less lonely or less informed about what's on campus, because really the program, and even without the program, but the program is highly recommended, you would still get to know campus really well and all the opportunities available to help you.
And so I know some of you may not be able to attend BGR or BGRi, like a student has just asked. BGRi and BGR come together as one package. The only difference in them is that BGRi is about 3 days before BGR starts, starting on the August 9th time period. So if you're unable to come to that, I think with your question specifically, it's more of a case-by-case basis. So I would say email us. As you see our email down on the bottom of the screen, and we can talk you more through that process. I'm not sure if you would be able to come halfway through the program, because if you did attend, you would have to pay the fee for the entire program. So if you're not able to come for that first part of it, we might be able to work with you, but just email us and we can try to figure that out for you. As Kareem mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different career fairs that happen on campus. One of them is the Industrial Roundtable, and the student is asking, are there any aerospace companies, especially companies from the space industry? Again, there are hundreds of companies in a variety of different industries, including aerospace. They will be there. I don't know if you guys might know more specifically.
So basically at Purdue there is the aerospace engineering program. So of course there are many aerospace companies that are coming on campus. To be honest, I can't answer that question specifically because I'm not an aerospace, so it's not something I would look at while going to the career fair. But I'm sure like there are so many companies, and I think even as an international student and who's admitted, I think you can see the list online of the companies that would come. I think if you Google Purdue Industrial Roundtable or something like that, you would have a section. If not for this upcoming year, you could see the companies that came last year or the year before. So that's really nice. Yeah.
So we have another question regarding students that may be under the age of 18, and if parents or guardians are required to live with them. Parents and guardians would not be living in our residence halls. I'm not actually sure what that situation would be, so I would say again, please email us and I can get back to you about that specifically. But we do have plenty of students that come to campus that are under 18, and I think typically they would live in the residence hall like other students. And going back to BGR and BGRi, are there program-specific events? Are there any specific events you guys remember that happened at BGR and BGRi?
A lot of team building activities, and there's also I don't know, the first when you go into Elliott Hall the 1st time and
Yeah,
everyone's like you're singing, dancing. I don't know, it's really festive.
that's the welcoming environment I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
talking about before. I don't specifically remember if so I attended BGRi, not BGR. So I don't remember that there were very engineering specific or depending what your major is. However, during the first week of school as a freshman, you would get like let's say you're in the College of Liberal Arts or engineering, you would get an email, oh FYE welcome reception or something like that, where you would have this more specific questions. And there are so many events all year long, so it's not only I would say BGR. They keep them even they make it available to all students as sophomores, juniors to attend them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, really, there's going to be a variety of different events that aren't just, maybe student life oriented, but they will help you get acclimated to, figuring out how to get around the community, whether you're taking the city bus system or maybe you're getting a bike, but also academic success on campus. And what are the resources for you to be more successful if you need a little extra help, or, kind of what the process will be to signing up for classes and finding where your schedule is, and really everything you can imagine that you may not have been told yet. I know a lot of you guys would like to have that information right now, but a lot of that will come as we get closer to the first day of classes starting, and the majority of information you will get about specific day-to-day on-campus life will happen during that BGR session.
I just remembered. Actually, during BGRi, I think you get to meet your advisor. So you would have like something for like a major specific. They would put you, and your advisor or people in the college you are in would come and give you a tour of the main buildings that you are in, or you have most classes. And yep, I think that would be a bit more specific to your question.
Could you guys maybe talk a little bit more about what your professors are like in your individual colleges, and maybe any specifically that you really enjoy your work with?
So I'm in Human and Health Science, the College of Human and Health Science, and I feel like as you progress into your later college years, you'll find that you love your professors more and more. Like I'm in my junior year right now, and I feel so close to all my professors, and I love them so much. They're all so passionate and they're so excited, and you can see that they just love what they're teaching. You can see it in their eyes, and when they're teaching in class, they're like prancing around the classroom, and they're just so passionate about what they're talking about. And also like classes get smaller and smaller, so I'm pretty familiar with most people in my major by now. First year of college, it's more general, so classes tend to be a lot bigger. Um, there's like recitations and things like
Right.
that, which is smaller, so you get to know your classmates, I guess.
So to explain more what she's saying, so basically let's say for example Calc 1. Calc 1, many students have to take Calc 1, so you would have this huge lecture hall. However, once a week or twice, depending on which section you choose, you would have like something called recitation, where you're in a smaller class, 30 people tops, I would say, and you would have a more interaction with your professor or whoever is teaching you the class. And professors are really very approachable, very friendly. But I also think that it's the student who should make the move, like go to office hours. And going to office hours isn't always about academics. You can talk to them about your life, where you come from, or like, oh, you're struggling with this. And they're very approachable, always wanting to ask questions. And let's say you cannot make it to their office hours, you can set an appointment, and they're also very open with that. And that's something I personally really appreciate because sometimes, like, the office hours would conflict with your own class hours. So being able to set up an appointment, and there's no limit to how much you can set. And I really appreciate that again because I hear from people back home or from other colleges that their professors are not that approachable, I would say, or aren't as flexible as I think it's easy. It's like super easy, I think,
Yeah.
here to book an appointment and whatever.
As long as you're the
Yeah.
one to initiate the move, then professors are really open to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
They're really here to help you succeed. It's what you make of it.
Especially if you need a recommendation letter for later or whatever. So building this connection is very important. And so basically, I was applying to a company a few weeks ago, and I needed a recommendation. In less than 2 days, they were able to supply me with all the information I needed, and that was really nice because, again, other professors might take way more time and be
Yeah.
like, "No, I don't want to do it." So building that connection is very important.
So the same for you.
Yeah, they're really passionate and they're really approachable through the office hours that they have.
Yeah, so again, you're not always going to hear that at larger universities, especially with the size of Purdue. And like Christina was saying, yes, in your first years, you may have larger classes, but as you will sometimes have smaller seminars with smaller groups of students, and as you get up into your major, it'll be a lot better. We touched on residence halls a little bit, but somebody is asking if there is one that the students often prefer over the other. I will let them talk about that for sure, but we do have 18 different residence halls, and a lot of them are going to be similar. So the little different changes are going to be super specific to what you want out of a residence hall, but definitely go to our website and take a look at each of them. Specifically, when you go through the housing application process, you don't necessarily preference a specific residence hall, you will give preference to the type of living situation it is. So again, go online and you can look through the different types of living styles, whether you're in a hall where you have one roommate and then there are multiple people on the floor that share the same bathroom, or maybe you're in a suite or apartment style where again you have a roommate and then you and your roommate share a bathroom with two other people and you're kind of in a smaller setting. But if you guys want to talk about those.
I've been in both kinds of dorms. My first year, I was in McCutcheon, which is the furthest dorm away from all the other like academic buildings. Me personally, I don't really mind walking, but I know a lot of people, especially in winter, were complaining about it. So McCutcheon is a bunch of people on the same floor. They share one bathroom, and the bathrooms are newly renovated. I don't know about now, but when I was a freshman, they were like brand new, so it was quite nice. And then my second year, I was in Hawkins, so I lived more of a suite style. Personally, I liked the the McCutcheon style better. So it's like a bunch of people sharing one, like one set of bathroom stalls, I guess, because people come in and clean those every single day. But with the suites, I think they clean it like 2 or 3 times a week, I think, for you. Other times you have to maintain it yourself. So I found myself using the public one, the one that was shared amongst the floor a lot more.
Yeah, just for a little bit of clarification on that, when we share, say, a lot of people in one hall sharing a bathroom, that's not a single bathroom. It is a bathroom facility where there may be 6 or 7 showers and then 6 or 7 toilets with a lot of different sinks. So it's not 25 people trying to cram into one bathroom. You're going to have plenty of space. And you live in a hall now too.
Also, I'm living in a hilltop apartment. It's different from like other dorms, and I like it because you get your own bathroom. I think that's really nice, and you could also cook if you like cooking.
So while I didn't live on campus dorms, I've been to many to visit friends or study. Um, I mean, honestly, the best is First Street Towers, which is where you live alone, but it's hard to get, especially as a freshman. The second option, I would say, Earhart, which is next to First Street, is very popular for freshmen. and even Windsor, I think, for girls.
Yeah.
Many people go there. I think Hawkins is more towards your junior year.
Junior, sophomore,
Yeah.
junior, yeah.
But wherever you are, I think you would find your group, and I mean they're all good. They're similar,
You
like to
adjust
some
to it,
extent,
yeah.
yeah. And even Hillenbrand,
Hillenbrand,
yeah,
I really liked Hillenbrand.
is also
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, dorms with dining courts attached to them, I feel like are the ones at an advantage because you literally don't have to leave your like the building when it's snowing outside. So yeah, that's quite nice.
And it doesn't snow the entire winter, just sometimes.
No.
So moving to research a little bit, Purdue's really proud that we are a large research university, and that's not just research for graduate students. The majority of our university is undergraduate students, so they are getting that research opportunity as well. Do you guys want to talk about maybe any research opportunity you've heard about or been able to work with?
So research at Purdue is also another very common option. It could be paid, or you can do it for credit. Um, I would say that many people do it. Like I've heard
Yeah,
so many
most people.
cases. It's hard and not hard depending on who you're applying to work with, to which professor, and the vacancy available also. And if it's paid, it's also depending on the funding that the professors are getting. But very common. And I think it's even easier if you come in the summer, or not the summer before camps. I mean, if you stay a summer at Purdue, many people like use the summer. Once they get the professor, they stay with them in the fall. So I wouldn't say it's something complicated in any way. And there are many opportunities, and it doesn't have to be in your specific field. Like you could research about literally anything. Yeah.
I personally haven't done research yet, but I feel like most people do it. It is encouraged to do it. So yeah.
I know a friend who's doing a research. So what he did was he just contacted a professor, and professor was willing to just make him participate in his research. So yeah.
Yeah, so again, the opportunities are definitely there, but a lot of the time it is up to you to reach out. You're not just going to be given a research opportunity, you have to look for them and work hard for them. So for the student who's asking about that, specifically aerospace engineering research, I'm not able to give you an answer on that right now, but we do have some ambassadors in aerospace engineering, so please send me an email and we can get you in contact with them. Kind of moving to going back with professors a little bit more, we have two questions about that. Besides going to office hours, are there other ways students can get help with their academics on campus?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
big time. So whenever you're in a class, you don't only have one resource, which is the professor. There are many resources available. One of them is usually with each professor there is a TA or many TAs, teaching assistant. So basically, they hold even separate office hours and will be willing to help you outside of class. Also, outside the concept of a class, there is something called supplemental instruction, also known as SI. Most classes have those sessions. They're usually the same day after your lecture or different days at night, 5:30, let's say, onwards. And you can basically attend those sessions. They're for free. You would have someone who has taken the class from before or an expert who would be basically giving you questions or maybe re-explaining the material. I would say each SI leader has their own style of teaching.
Yeah.
So it depends on the class and their style, and sometimes based on like the students available or whoever is attending, he would cater or she would cater the session for them. Um, yeah, and also you can find many tutors for those who would like that option. I think there's a website for tutors, or it depends on the class and your school. You would find tutors for that. But I think like I've never personally had needed a tutor, although I needed extra help. Like I used to attend SI and go to office hours, but never had like to reach the extent to pay. But if you need that, the option is available, and I think there are many good peer tutors around.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm not someone who likes to ask for help, so I struggled a lot my own freshman year, and I made a lot of mistakes. But then my friend introduced me to SI, and it saved my life. So I cannot recommend SI more than enough, because they are actually so helpful, and the people, it really does depend on the people running them, but especially if you go like before exams and stuff like that, leading up to exams, probably is a better way to put it. The SI person will give you questions, and like sometimes they might have inside information about what to expect or like past papers and stuff like that. So it's definitely beneficial. You don't lose anything from going to them.
And if you can't make it to office hour for some reason, there's also option of sending your professor an email, and they're always nice and willing to just answer you. And also Purdue friends that I've met, they're also really willing to help you if you need any help.
So kind of going off of the professors a little bit, a student we have from Norway is asking what the relationship between teachers and students are like. I guess in Norway you may call the teachers by their first name. I would say in the US, I mean, I've been in college here too, they usually may want a little more respect than that, but you may have a professor that says, call me by my first name. It really depends, but I guess for you guys, what that relationship may be like.
I think mainly it's depends on the professor. So some professors would be like Dr. X or Professor Y. That's very common, especially like via email. But no matter what you call them, they won't like. I don't think they would point it out or make you feel bad for it if you're used to it. They understand that we're in an international community. However, it depends. Some of them even create their own nicknames, like Doc B or something like that, and you can call them. And no, it's I don't think the naming would affect your relationship with them in any way. And they would make it very clear, like sometimes in the syllabus you can call me by this or that. So I think everything is straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it's just what you make of it. If you go in and initiate a relationship with a professor, they're more than happy to do so. But if you don't, they're not going to come out to look for you and reach out to you. So yeah.
Yeah, again, you really have to take the initiative with creating those relationships, and it is going to be that, you may not necessarily be seen as equal. They are the expert in their field. They are at Purdue for a reason, and because have done incredible work. So are expected to have that respect for them. But at the same time, they're there to help you, and they want to be that mentor to you. Going back to meal plans and housing options, I would say the website is going to be one of the best resources for that because it will list out each of the different meal options and what you can look at. But often we do go bi-weekly, so you may have 8 meals a week, up to 15, or even unlimited. It kind of depends on the students. I don't know if you guys have had different ones.
I had unlimited. Personally, I feel like, I actually quite liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite liked it actually, because you can go in and out, and with friends, it doesn't matter. Because I have friends who did, I think, the 8 plan a week or something, and then they would have to be counting while I was just swiping in and out, in and out, especially during exam week. Sometimes I know students, like, they study in the dining course and they stay there the whole entire day because it's just such a comfortable environment, and you can just go up and get food whenever you want and then like study. So yeah.
I would I've never had a meal plan, but I was very exposed to it due to friends. I think it also depends on how much you eat. Like if you barely eat like once a day, maybe the 8 would be more than enough.
That's true.
But I think the unlimited gives you many options, and also I don't know if you've heard about meal swipes, but I think with your meal plan you get a certain number of meal swipes, which you can use this kind of, I would say, money on campus. Like restaurants, the one that Crockett was mentioning about before. So let's say after 4 p.m., if you go into a certain restaurant on campus, you swipe in, it's as if that's your meal. So it's very flexible, and it all depends on you, how much you eat, and how much you want to spend time in those dining courts.
So if you would like to eat at like other restaurants, you obviously don't want to do like unlimited. I would suggest like 8 or 13.
13, I think.
Yeah, 13 is good.
Yeah, and so the good thing is you do have flexibility with changing. So maybe if you start off the year at 8 or 13 and you realize you want to eat more than that, you can go up, but you cannot go down. So if you start out at the beginning of the year unlimited, you're not going to be able to go down to a lower one until the next semester or next year. But if you start, at a lower one, you can go up, so you do have that flexibility. So it might be better to start off at a 13 or 15 and kind of see how that works. And then if you're wanting more, you can change that and go more. Going back to research a little bit, somebody has asked if students can get into research as a freshman, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about. If you find the opportunity, 100% you can do it, but it's going to be up to you. I'd say there aren't as many opportunities that are just going to be shown out there for freshmen, but if you are really interested in something and maybe you come to Purdue knowing a professor that's doing research in the field of interest you have, definitely go ahead and reach out to them, see maybe if they need some help, and that could be your first day on campus. And another student is, I'm not fully sure what they're asking in regards to the Purdue curriculum and then the start and end of the semester. With the academic year, the academic calendar is online, so you could definitely go and look at that. Typically the semester will go from end of August to kind of the 1st of December, then there will be a winter break, and then the spring semester is the beginning of January to the end of April, beginning of May, and then there are breaks within that. So you can definitely go online and look at that. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
So actually, this upcoming year, I think we're gonna have one of the tallest winter breaks. Yeah, I think we have like a month. Usually you have like 3 weeks, so that's gonna be really cool. But yeah, it goes, I think, from, as you said, mid-August to then December. You finish finals, and by the way, like your finals, it depends like when your finals are scheduled. So let's say during finals week, you only have a final Monday, Tuesday, then you can leave on Wednesday or even Tuesday night, depending on your time. So it's not like I have to leave whenever the semester for everybody ends. It's based on your own. And then you might have classes that are just maybe a project based or like a paper, so you might not have finals at all. It just depends on your class. But most classes, I mean, especially in STEM majors, we do have finals. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're asking about the curriculum specifically, I mean, Purdue is known for being a quite rigorous curriculum. The curriculum for every major is going to be completely different. So whatever your specific major is, I would say go on Purdue's website to your major page and you can look up the plan of study and see every class that you will kind of be expected to take throughout your 4 years at Purdue.
So another recommendation, also there's something called the Purdue Online Catalog. So as he mentioned, you can see not only your plan of study, but like every semester it like plans your semester out, or like a typical, for example, chemical engineer, they would take this during their first semester, second semester, third semester, fourth, etc. And they would give you options like, let's say you don't want to take this course, what are the alternatives? So I think that's in terms of curriculum. You can have a really good insight of what are the classes and the description of each of the classes.
So the next question is regarding acceleration programs at Purdue, where students may do a 3+2 program, and that would be where a student can do their bachelor's degree in 3 years and then transition into their master's with a +2 program and finish everything in 5 years. Do you guys want to talk about that at all, or do you know much about those?
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, so again, it's going to be quite specific to the major. If you're interested in that for your major, again, the website's going to be the best resource for that because every major is different. Some academic colleges may make it easier and may have those types of programs, but not every major at Purdue will have a master's degree that matches with your bachelor's degree. So again, yes, you can do 2 majors at the same time, and you can start working on a master's early. That is completely doable at Purdue, and a lot of students will do that. Again, it's just very specific to the program that you're looking at. If you have more questions about your case specifically, please do email us. Another question we do get a lot is about the workload during your freshman year especially, so you guys will probably be the best to answer that.
I would say that it depends on your major, and it depends on the combination of classes you take. So, but this doesn't mean that no matter how, I think it's sometimes harder than it is just because everything is new, but it's not that hard. Like, you will still have the same fun as we do now. You'll be able to do the same things, and I think attending those BGRi and BGR will really help you to be very prepared for what's coming, so that you wouldn't waste time. Oh, I don't know where this is, because you would know in BGR like what the resources are. For me, it took, because I didn't attend BGR, only BGRi, and a part of it, I felt that it took me just like a week or two, I would say, to know where everything is and to know all the available resources. But once you know what they are, you would arrange your own schedule accordingly, or personal schedule, and it's really, I would say, feasible.
Yeah, it's definitely manageable. It's just time management, I guess, but even if you're somewhat a bit about time management, you'll still manage. Like, but it is up to each individual to push through. Yeah.
Mhm. And I think the first semester of freshman year is supposed to be the easiest. So you
But
might
keep
wanna.
in mind, don't slack off.
Yeah, but you gotta make sure you still study. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, it's going to depend on a lot of different factors. Once you start to go through your academic advising over the summer, when you're signing up for classes, you're going to realize that you have a few different options, whether you want to take maybe 15 credit hours per semester up to 18. And some of you who may not be familiar with our education system, each of our classes is divided by credit hours. So a single class often will be on average about 3 credit hours, sometimes less than that, sometimes up to 5. So you're going to be looking at those credit hours per semester, and then you have a certain number of credit hours required to graduate. So you have to reach that number, depending on how many you want to take each semester. As an international student, you are required to be in at least 12 credit hours every semester to be considered a full-time student, and at least 9 of those credit hours have to be in a class on campus. So you will have the opportunity to take online classes, but you can't only take online classes during the semester. You have to mostly be in classes that are sitting in a classroom. So if you guys have any more specific questions regarding that, definitely just let us know.
I want to just elaborate on one thing.
Mhm.
So usually, let's say a class is 3 credits. This doesn't mean you only meet once. Usually, you would meet 3 times a week. Let's say it's 4 credits 4 times a week, 2 credits 2 times a week. That's just a general rule. However, the number of credits does not define the workload.
No,
Like you can
yeah.
have 3 credits a super hard class and 3 credits a super easy class. But as long as you're satisfying your core requirements, I mean that's all advising, and they do a really good job telling you what you have to take, what's the best combination from previous experiences. And I think when they get to know you a bit more, they also know, well, you can manage this,
Yeah.
you can manage more, you can manage less. And that's also depends on how well you do. So I think like you'll be in good hands, don't worry.
So for our last question, we do realize that you guys are coming from pretty far away, and it may be difficult sometimes to go back and forth. Students are able to stay on campus during breaks. It depends on the break, and it depends if you're wanting to stay over the summer or not. But I'll let you guys talk to that a little bit more about, traveling back and forth to home and staying on campus during breaks.
I have not stayed on campus over winter break, but I have stayed every single summer that I have here. But I always go back towards the end of summer, just for a month or so. With housing, I think over winter break, the dorms you get kicked out of the dorms basically. But over summer, you can definitely. I think there's especially if you're taking summer classes, you can stay in the dorms. But I'm not sure about the time frame. But a lot of people do sublease apartments off of campus. So say in the Chauncey area or in Fuse, which is close to engineering. So those apartments are usually something that you could go look into if you were planning on staying over winter or summer break.
So to go off on what she said, so to elaborate on the sublease, so for example, I have an apartment. I'll be leaving, let's say in May. June, July, I won't be here. So I basically sublease the apartment. What subleasing is, I pass over my lease in the apartment to somebody else. If you're really interested into that, there's on Facebook a Purdue housing and sublease like page or something. You can or a group you request to join that, and you would see all the offers where like people are putting their price, and it's usually like way cheaper than the usual price. So let's say you pay $600 a month. Maybe if you sublease, the person would give it to you for 400, let's say. So it's all based on negotiation, and it's very popular. And I think it's also nice because like you're in the dorms maybe all the years,
Yeah.
so the apartment would be a bit of shit, like a change. And there are so many new apartments coming up on campus, and actually new residence halls that are being built. So I really think that the campus is evolving. Like even like we see construction most of the time, and we really see that the university is evolving and trying to give us the best education, but also the best facilities. So I really like this. Like you really feel like you're putting your money into something that's like growing.
Yeah,
So
you can
that's
see it in
nice.
front of your eyes,
Yeah.
like before your eyes. The school is literally always under construction.
Have you stayed during any of the breaks?
So luckily my parents live in Indiana, so I would just go back home and yeah.
Yeah, so again, it's going to be very specific to, what you're looking at. Most of the international students on campus, parents do live overseas and, they will go home during breaks, but sometimes we know that's not that easy. So yes, if you do want to stay on campus during the summer, that is completely separate than the housing you would have during the academic year. But they do allow, even though the university and residence hall shut down over something like winter break, students can request to stay in the residence hall that they've been living in the entire time. So you just would have to request that. I don't believe you have to pay anything extra, but they may have a small fee for if you're staying over winter break. But again, the opportunity is there if that's what you're wanting to do.
And even I think if you're saying during the summer over break, there are so many things you can do. Like if you don't have a job, you can have a job and make some money. I think the co-rec, and I mean even people like from Indiana or like they come on campus. There are always summer events, so there are so many things to do. So you won't get bored over break.
Mm-mm.
So that is the last question we are going to have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us all these really great questions. And if you have any other questions after this, again, please do email our office if you want to talk to any of our awesome ambassadors that took some time to help answer questions. You can email us as well, and we can connect you to them. But thank you so much again, and we hope to see you on campus this fall.
Bye.